I stepped off court, and the world just closed in. It was a sea of people pinning me right against the concrete. The wall was looming, getting closer with every second. I realized there was nowhere left to go. As the crowd surged, 20-year-old Alex felt the cold bite of the concrete against her spine. She was trapped. Her dad and coach were lost in the mob. No guards, no barrier, just hundreds of fans desperate for a piece of her at the 2026 Australian Open. She screamed for air. "Wait, back up, you're gonna trample me!" she yelled, her voice barely rising above the roar. "Give me space!" When a rising superstar can't even leave practice without a riot breaking out, you know the sport has a massive problem. What she shared on a podcast later wasn't just about fear, it exposed the system failing to keep up with its own stars. Eala didn't just bring her rackets to the 2026 Australian Open, she brought the weight of an entire culture. She's the icon of a global nation. From Melbourne to New York, the Filipino flags follow her, turning every match into a home court advantage. On paper, her rank didn't qualify her for elite security protocols. She was stuck in the middle, a legend in waiting without the protection of one. The fans saw a goddess, but the tour treated her like just another face in the locker room. That illusion shattered on an outdoor court in Melbourne. It was supposed to be a standard practice session. Open bleachers, a simple ramp, and zero protection. Not a single guard stood between Eala and the thousands waiting for her. Session over. Bag packed. But the exit wasn't a path. It was a human tidal wave. Shouts for autographs, phones in her face, gifts flying through the air. Everyone wanted a piece of history. The front row saw her eyes, the back row just saw a target and kept shoving forward. Eala broke down the chaos herself on the Players Box podcast later that March. "A wall of people hit me," she recalled. "I was paralyzed. They couldn't see how bad it was getting up front. They just kept shoving me harder and harder into the concrete. The wall was right there. I thought, this is it. They're just not going to stop." The pressure was relentless, pinning me against the stones. I felt the wall scraping my back. I realized, man, this is getting dangerous. Her team was right there, but you can't fight the physics of a 1,000-person surge. When fan adoration turns into a physical threat, you've hit a new level. But since she wasn't top 29, the tour looked the other way. When a player has to hire her own guards for a practice session, it proves her fame is moving faster than the sport can handle. But Melbourne wasn't just a one-off freak accident. It was a warning shot. This is a global trend. The tennis establishment can't hide behind bad luck anymore. Eala saw the tide turning. On that same podcast, she admitted practice wasn't peaceful anymore. She knew the game had changed when fans started camping out just to watch her warm up. By January, the exposure felt like a flood, not for the big matches, but for the quiet drills. Fans were queuing up hours before she even touched the ball. Melbourne, Dubai, New York, it didn't matter where she was. The demand followed her like a shadow across the globe. Compare that to any other player at her level. Normally, you walk onto court and maybe 5 people look up from their phones. You hit, you finish, you leave. You grab your towel and walk out alone. No crowds, no pushing, no security detail required. That's life for a player ranked in the 40s. For Eala, life is anything but normal. The massive divide between her rank and her fame is the story. No one else is forcing the tour to rethink security like this. It's not just a local craze. Eala listed the cities herself. It's a global phenomenon. New York was massive, she noted. Melbourne felt like home, and then there was Dubai. The Filipino diaspora is everywhere. In the Middle East, every tournament she plays becomes a cultural earthquake, an event inside the event. People aren't just there to see a backhand. They're there to see their identity reflected on center court. Jessica Pegula, world number 5, saw the madness with her own eyes. Pegula recalled, "We were in our hotel in Dubai, and the roar was deafening. You could hear her match from blocks away. My coach asked, 'What is that noise outside?' It was for Alex. It was insane. We weren't even at the stadium yet." When a top 5 coach is stunned by crowd noise from a hotel window, you know the atmosphere is electric. The answer is always the same, Eala. Despite the terrifying wall incident and the crushing mobs and the window-rattling cheers, Eala doesn't hide. She actually wants to be closer to her people. At the 2026 Miami Open, she was seen waving off guards just so fans could get a selfie. She's a star that refuses to go cold. Instead of hiding, she stepped into the spotlight. This isn't just some PR play. It's an athlete realizing that every fan waving a flag in a distant stadium just wants to be seen. Follow her from the start, then Miami only confirmed your suspicions. Eala's fan bond is real, the most authentic force in tennis today. Veteran Krawczyk has seen every level of slams and superfans. She co-hosts the Players Box with Pegula and Keys, plus Jennifer Brady, 4 legends with decades of elite experience. When Eala shared the Melbourne chaos, Krawczyk got real. Get security, Krawczyk urged, shocked. Eala finally listened. Guarded practice changed everything instantly. Krawczyk's reaction said it all. Security helped. You're massive here. Peer validation changed the game. Not a fan post or clickbait. This was a professional colleague. A peer told Eala her fame now requires serious protection. When elites validate the phenomenon, it becomes a consensus fact. The Melbourne spark is now a global fire. Her clay season starts in Linz, then Stuttgart, Madrid and Paris. 5 European stops where Filipino support is exploding right now. Every city asks, can the stadium handle the Eala effect? WTA wants expansion. Eala is delivering it organically. No corporate scripts, just fans filling seats and making noise. From the desert to Dubai, directors see the atmosphere shift. Currently 45 in the world, her rank will naturally fluctuate. But her dedicated morning practice crowds are here to stay. That massive demand is locked in. It scales with every point and every 12-hour flight. After a tough 3-set Melbourne loss, she walked off defeated. Then she met a crowd that ignored the scoreboard. The love was unconditional. She felt the heavy emotional impact. Losing the match, but being embraced, left her spinning. I didn't want security, she said. I'm just practicing. No ego trip, just a genuine concern for her safety. She didn't have to explain. Melbourne proved it for her. She responded by stunning Coco Gauff in Indian Wells. Miami wins proved the loss didn't define her, the fans did. Melbourne chaos, a pro's warning, star power shaking the hotel. A young star choosing fans over comfort because they matter. Eala carries a nation's pride onto courts built for less. Now tennis needs bigger walls and more security guards. The tour isn't shocked by ranking, but by her gravity. The sport is recalibrating because her stardom outgrew the system. Is Alex Eala redefining stardom through passion, not just rank? Comment below. This conversation belongs to those who saw it. If you've been watching this rise, you're part of it. We tell her story here. Subscribe before the clay season.